Everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Manisha Gupta ACCA. So I'm again back with a new video on section C question from performance management. So if you guys have been struggling with the question name clear company, which has been asked in March July 2020 exam, so here is a video for you. So let me know in the comment box which part you guys have been struggled while solving this question, and after watching this video have your doubt has been got resolved or not. Okay, so this question is quite interesting and it's from the variance, and I used to say my student always, so if you guys have been very confident on the variance formula, it is quite easy to grab maximum mark from section C. Why I am saying this? Because you can see here, out of 20 there is only 8 marks for the calculation. In some of the question there is 12 marks as well, so there is 8 to 12 marks which has been allocated for the calculation part in the variance, and which is very enough, right, to secure the passing mark, right? So that's why I used to say my student, if you guys are having confident on the variance formula, so you can grab maximum mark from the section C or B or A. Okay, so let's solve this question together and let's see whether your doubt part of this question has been resolved or not. Okay, so before reading the background, let's have a look on the requirement, because let's have a idea what the question is asking, so that we can accordingly find the information from the background given. Okay, so now we have a 3 requirement, and you can see the first part is asking to calculate the total variance. See, they are not asking to calculate variance for the each of the product, whatever the product or services we are giving in this company, clear company. So they are asking total variance for clear company lens treatment, and that is the sales mix contribution variance, sales quantity contribution variance, and each of these is for the 4 marks. That means altogether we are having 8 mark for this particular calculation. All right, and you guys must be carefully read the requirement. Why? Because in the some of the case they can ask you to calculate these variances for the each of these product or services. Like here the product, I mean they are providing the services, that is the RLE and ICL, lens treatment services, and now in some of the cases they can ask you to calculate the variance for the each of this category, or in some cases they can ask you to calculate the variance in the total. So if you calculate the here variance for the each of this category, that is the RLE and ICL, and you don't calculate in the total, then you will not be awarded this full marks in this particular requirement. So in order to grab the full marks, you need to read the question very carefully, whether they are asking to calculate the total or each, and accordingly you need to perform the calculation to grab the full or maximum marks. Okay, so now they are asking total variance for the sales mix contribution variance, and other is the sales quantity contribution variance. That's fine. Okay, and in part B they are asking explain what each of the sales mix contribution variance and sales quantity variance measures. So it's very simple and it's for the 2 marks. So out of 20, 50 marks and 50% of this 20 marks, that means 10. It's very easy one. And for part C they are asking, using your answer from part A and other relevant calculation, discuss clear company sales performance for the year just ended. Note there is up to 4 marks available for the additional calculation relevant to the sales performance, and sales mix, sales marks available, 6 marks available for the discussion. So out of this 10 marks, part C carry the 10 marks, and they say there are 4 marks available for the calculation if we perform the additional calculation, and 6 marks for discussion. See guys, out of 20, so we have how much marks allocated for the calculation? 12. So around 8 to 12 marks in the variance is for the calculation part. So if you guys know the formula very well, you can perform this part very confidently and grab the maximum mark. So that's why have a confidence on the formula. If you don't know how to remember, I have shared my tips and trick to remember all the variance formula. It's in the playlist available on my YouTube channel. Kindly check and have a look on that video so that you guys will also have the confidence on the formula. Okay. Now let's move to the background, what the background is, then we will come again back to the calculation and explanation part. Okay, so Clear Company is an eye treatment specialist founded in 2004, which runs 5 clinic nationwide. So they are having a 5 clinic running nationwide, and they has been founded in 2024, but they are especially a eye treatment specialist. It is based in Zealand, a country in which 20% of population is over 65 years old compared to the 15% 10 years ago. So now the population, majority of population in Zealand is the old people, like people of age on above 65 years old. Whereas if we look back to the 10 years, there was only 50% of the population people is above 65 years old. That means the oldest people percentage has been increased, so they are more likely to face the eye problem. Okay, so demand might have been increased for the eye treatment, especially for this kind of age group people. Okay, so Clear Company offered 2 eye treatment procedures, laser treatment and the lens treatment. Laser treatment is less complex of the 2 procedures, so that means it's less complex, so might be it will be cheaper as compared to the lens treatment. Technology changes rapidly in this industry, and as a result of 90% of patients now qualify for the laser treatment. Oh, so due to change in the technology, 90% of the patient is now qualified for the laser treatment, which is very less complex out of the 2 procedures available at the Clear Company compared to the only 80% 5 years ago. That means the demand for laser treatment has been increased. So if we look back to the 5 years back, so there was only 80% demand. So demand has also been increased by 10% since then. The remaining 10% of patients are only able to have a lens treatment. So out of 100%, 90% patient qualify for the laser treatment, which is very less complex out of the 2 procedures available at the Clear Company. But remaining 10% is like more, they used to have the lens treatment, and of which there are 2 types: refractive lens exchange, that is the RLE, and implantable contact lens, that is ICL. Clear Company started providing RLE, a treatment most effective for the patient aged 40 or older, in 2004 when it was founded. 2 years ago, it has been providing ICL, a treatment recommended for the patient under the age of 40. The market for the eye treatment procedure in Zealand is dominated by the few main suppliers, of which Clear Company is one. So there are few suppliers who wish to provide the eye treatment procedure like mentioned here, and one of them is also the Clear Company. So until 2 years ago, Clear Company was the largest supplier, but following the merger of 2 other companies, it is now second largest. So some of the company has been merged, so now they are largest. Clear Company is under second. The merged company Ecos Company has recently released its financial statement for the year, showing profit which were 10% higher than forecast. ISCO Company press release stated that it has achieved this despite of offering reduced price for the ICL treatment. It has been able to offer reduced price because of economies of scale achieved by the merger. That's very true. If one or more company combine together, it's very natural to achieve the economies of scale, and due to that they have reduced the price and able to capture the market. The following information relate to 2 types of lens treatment offered by Clear Company for the year just ended, and the lens treatment RLE and the ICL, and we have provided the budgeted and actual figure for both of this treatment, and we have number of treatment, selling price treatment per treatment, and variable cost per treatment. Alright, so now let's move to the calculation part. Now we will solve the requirement 1 first. Requirement 1. Okay. It's very important to clearly identify which part you are solving. So just mention that as a heading. So requirement 1, not A. Sorry. So A part 1. Okay. Now they have asked us to calculate the sales mix contribution variance, right? And other they have asked to calculate sales quantity contribution variance. Okay, so if you have visited my notes or the video which I have been published on my YouTube channel, so you might have seen this kind of chart over there. So now the question asks to calculate sales mix contribution variance, that is this part, and the sales quantity variance, that is this part. That means for this we in F2 we have learned the sales volume variance, and this two variance is the breakdown of the sales volume variance. Okay, so now what is the formula? Let's write it down. So now ST margin into AQ sold. So I will make it smaller. Okay, and then next we have ST margin into S mix, and then BQ sold. Okay, I will copy paste this for the below as well. So don't worry guys, I will share this attachment in this particular video description. So just kindly check, you can access this Excel as well. Okay, so now we have it two product, right? Product, no services, sorry, lens treatment, we can say lens treatment, that is. Now let's move back to the question. So we have lens treatment. So now we have two lens treatment, that is RLE and other is ICL. Okay, and I will also copy paste these two for the below. Okay, that's fine. So now we have to, what we need: standard margin, actual quantity sold, and standard margin, standard mix, and standard margin, and budgeted quantity sold. So here in each three of the row I have used standard margin. So here it's depend whether company is using the absorption costing or marginal costing. So if they are using the marginal costing, here we will use standard contribution per unit in the place of standard margin. But if they are using the absorption costing, in that case we will use standard profit per unit. And by reading the question it is very clear. So they are using the marginal costing. Why? Because they have provided information for the selling price and the variable cost. In fact, they also mention here contribution. Okay, so they have mentioned contribution, that means company follow marginal costing. So in that case it will be now standard contribution per unit, and we can very easily calculate for the both of this treatment. We have provided with the selling price. Just one second. Okay, so now standard contribution per unit. Okay, and we need actual quantity sold. we need S mix, and we need PQ sold, right? Okay, for the both the product, for both product. I'm sorry, it's lens treatment. For the both lens treatment, that is your RLE and ICL. That's fine. So now contribution per unit for the RLE will be what is, and this is a standard, that means budgeted figure we need to take, that is the 3000 minus 600. So 3000 so 3000 minus 600, and for ICL we have selling price 3650 minus 1150, because the contribution formula is selling price minus all the variable cost which is given here, right? So now 2400 and 2500. So can we write down 2400 here and 2500 here, and each of the three column for the calculation purpose? Similarly for the below as well. I don't think we need to do this separately. So it's one is enough. One is enough. So I will show you how. Okay. I will add here sales mix and quantity contribution variance, and remove this one. Okay. So to look my calculation clear. Okay. 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 Now actual quantity sold for the RLE, that is 4130. Actual quantity sold means how many treatment have we provided, and that is the 4130 for the RLE. And for ICL we have 960. That's fine. Then we have S mix. Let's hold on this. So budgeted quantity sold for RLE is 3750. All right. And now for ICL is budgeted quantity sold is 1320. Okay. Now coming to the sales mix. So basically it's a proportion, standard proportion based on the actual quantity sold. So first of all, we need to figure out how much total quantity actually we sold for the both of these lens treatments. So actual quantity sold for both of these is 5090. So you need to total these two. So that is the 5090. And what I will do is, just a second. Okay, so I will add this total. So actual quantity sold for these two is, and budgeted one is this much. Okay. Now for standard mix, we need to take the RLE budgeted quantity sold, then divide it by the total budgeted quantity sold and multiply it with the actual quantity sold. Okay, so we got it this in the point. So basically we are just calculating. So if according to budget, what is the proportion of RLE, and then multiplying it with the actual quantity sold. So how we can calculate the proportion? That is 3750 divided by 5070 into 5090. Similarly for the ICL, we will take this figure 1320 divided by 5070. So this will provide us the proportion of ICL in the total budgeted quantity sold, and multiply it with the total actual quantity sold. So this is the standard mix. Okay, so this is the standard mix. All right. So now we have written the standard margin. So now actual quantity sold for RLE is, so now let me just link the formula directly. Standard margin for RLE is 2400 and actual quantity sold is 4130. Similarly, for ICL, standard margin is 2500 and actual quantity sold is 960. Now for standard margin is 2400 and standard mix is 3765. Standard contribution is this much and mix is this one. And for standard margin RLE this much and budgeted quantity sold is 3750. Standard contribution into budgeted quantity sold. That's it. That's it for the 8 marks. So now question asks you to calculate sales mix and sales quantity variance, right? So sales mix, just let rename this as A, B and C. So while subtracting A minus B, we will get the sales mix if you will remember the chart. So A minus B will be sales mix and B minus C will be your sales quantity variance. And question asks us in the total. Remember, question asks us in the total. So now we need to add these two. It's very important to show your calculation properly, otherwise you will lose the marks. Okay, and see how easy the presentation is. And one more thing, if it is positive you need to write the favorable, if it is negative you need to write the adverse. If you don't write this, your marks will be deducted. Okay, so guys, this is only for the 8 marks. Now let me tell, is it hard or easy? So if you remember the chart which I have shared in the video, it's very easy to solve the variance question and hardly it will take you 10 minutes to do all these things. It is quite easy for 8 marks. Now question B says, explain what each of the sales mix contribution variance and sales quantity contribution variance measure. So here I have written the sales mix contribution variance compared overall contribution earned by our actual mix of the products sold to the contribution we would have earned if we had stuck with the standard proportion of the product that we budgeted to sell. But in our calculation we noticed that the sales mix variance was negative, adverse. That means we sold lower proportion of the more profitable product ICL and the higher proportion of the less profitable product RLE. You can see from the calculation we have done. So RLE provide the less contribution as compared to the ICL, right? Because ICL and in our case we have mentioned this thing that the less profitable RLE has been sold in higher proportion as compared to the ICL. So this is how I have explained for the sales mix contribution and sales quantity contribution variance. And for the sales contribution variance I have written down, sales contribution variance means compare the contribution earned by total actual units sold as compared to the contribution which would have been earned if we had sold the budgeted number of units, right? So in this case quantity variance was favorable because actual sales units sold 50-90 were more than the budgeted unit to be sold, that is a 50-70. So we have seen earlier in this calculation, right? So this is how you can approach for the A and B. So quite easy marks, 10 marks. Now let's move to the part C. So what question says, using your answer from the part A and any other relevant calculation, discuss clear company sales performance for the year just in date. All right. So now part C, the question says that there are 4 marks available for the additional calculation apart from what we did in the part A, and there is 6 marks available for the discussion side of the things, and the altogether question is for the 10 marks. So as they mentioned to perform the additional calculation, so I have calculated the sales price and the volume variance as well. So to grab my 4 easy marks. Now the explanation part is remaining and it carry almost 6 marks. So guys, calculation part we are almost done. Now coming to our discussion part. Now, first point I have written for the discussion part is the aging population. So, in our calculation, we noted that the actual sales was higher as compared to the budgeted one, right? And this part we can explain here. So, what I have explained that 20% of Zealand is now over 65 years old as compared to the 50% which was 10 years back, right? So, old people generally experience more problem with their eyesight. As I mentioned these things at the start of this video. So, because in question they mentioned that the old age population above 65 years has been increased by 5%. Previously, it was 15%. 10-year backs, and it is very natural that the old age people might have a eye problem, so they are more likely to have their eye checkup. So this could be the one of the reason behind the actual sales being higher as compared to the budgeted one. So that particular thing I have mentioned here. Therefore it is expected that this should increase the number of treatment this segment of this population takes, and the impact of this can be seen from the large favorable sales variances for RLE as well as favorable sales quantity variance. This increase in treatment sold might be to the customer of this segment of the population. ICL did not experience a favorable sales volume variance. However, this is unlikely due to the fact that their treatment is for the people below the age of 40, and the aging population does not help in that regard. So what I mean to say, so if you will calculate the sales volume variance for the both of these product, let me calculate here. So you can see here the sales volume variance for RLE, and how I have calculated this by subtracting A minus C. Similarly for the ICL, I have subtracted A minus C and we got our sales volume variance. So in total, the sales volume variance is favorable, and this is completely due to the RLE. So what we can understood from this calculation, that the actual quantity sold for the RLE is more than the as compared to the budgeted one. You can see from here as well, actual quantity sold for RLE is more than the budgeted quantity sold, and whereas for ICL it is less as compared to the budget. And why this has been case? Because more than 65%, actually 20% of the population is over the 65 years old, and somewhere it has also been mentioned that RLE treatment is most effective for the patient above 40 age. So that means due to increase in this aged group, this RLE treatment has been increased, and which is shown by the favorable sales volume variance. Whereas for ICL, it is negative. That means actual quantity sold is less than the budget. And what could be the reason behind it? Reason is that this treatment is for the people of age below 40 years. You can see here it has been mentioned this treatment recommended for the patient under the age of 40, whereas population has been increased for the people of age over 65. That's why the demand for ICL has been fall, and that is what I have mentioned here in the as a first point. Okay, now next point. Now point second is more people qualified for the laser treatment. Okay, it's just a second. What I did. Okay. So now As mentioned in the question that there has been increase in the number of people who have been eligible for the laser treatment, right? So in start of the question, we it has been mentioned that the Clear company offer two kind of treatment, eye treatment, that is the laser treatment and the lens treatment. And nowadays, due to change in the technology, more people have been qualified for the laser treatment. Remember this sentence, right? So I have just pick up this as a point. So the increase in number of people eligible for the laser treatment is likely due to the advancement in the medical technology. As a laser procedure become more widely available and effective, a growing number of patients may now qualify for this alternative to the lens-based treatment. This development could reduce the demand for the traditional lens procedure. Obviously, as mentioned in the question that the 90% of the patient now qualify for the laser treatment because due to the growing technology, more patients have been qualified for this. So that means demand for the lens treatment will fall. What I mean to say in this particular sentence. So now, since both RLE and ICL are the form of lens treatment, so decline in overall demand may lead to the lower sales volume in this segment. However, the impact may differ between the two products. As mentioned in the question that due to change in technology, more people are now qualified for the laser treatment. So here they have mentioned 90% of the patient now qualify for the laser treatment. So now it is pretty much sure that the demand for lens treatment will fall, right? It is pretty much sure the demand for lens treatment will fall, and if that is the case, in that case our sales will also be lower. But in reality, for Clear company, the situation and impact is different. We have a favorable sales volume variance. We have sold more number of quantity than the budgeted, right? So what could be the reason? So RLE is primarily targeted for the patient who are having the age 40 above. So this age group is generally more cautious about the adopting the new technologies and may prefer established treatment method. So it is very natural. The people who are of age above 40 or around 60, so they don't like to adopt the technology, right? So they may prefer the traditional based treatment as compared to the technology. So as a result, many RLE patient may continue opting for the lens-based procedure despite improvement in the laser treatment. So obviously, even though technology have been improved in a very good way, but still those group age people will more they will be happy to have a traditional based treatment rather than adopting the new technology. So this could be help to explain the relatively strong sales performance and favorable volume variance for RLE. So this obviously this due to this fact, this age group people who are not like to adopt the technology, they are more happy to having the traditional kind of treatment, and that could be the reason of behind the increment of this or favorable sales volume variance for the RLE. Okay, and whereas for ICL, these are for the patient who are under the age 40, so who are typically more open to adopting the new technology. So this could be the reason behind the having the adverse sales volume variance for the laser. Remember, we have done the calculation as well. So sales volume variance for the ICL was negative, and whereas for the RLE was the positive. So this could be the one of the reason behind decline or adverse sales volume variance for ICL. So we have explained the 2 points in very good way. So as there are 6 marks available for discussion, so if we explain the 3 points in very good way, it is very easy to grab the marks. Okay, now next point. The third point I have explained here. You can read this and easily understand what I mean to say. So guys, we are done with this question. Okay, so still if you guys have any confusion, you can ask me in any of the social media platform. So link is in the YouTube channel bio, so just check it out, and you can text me or DM me anywhere. I will try my best to sort out your query and concern. So thank you so much guys for watching the video. Have a good day.